One sliver was enough for me because it was really deep in my foot. I called these bedrooms the attic. Some of the insulation was becoming loose from between the wood. There was also a live electrical wire that hung down from the ceiling. You know those microphones that hung down from above one of the singers on television in the late 1950s? That's what I had thought, and we were lucky to have one in our bedrooms. Anyway, one bad rainy day, my brothers and sisters and I were all playing in the attic. We were playing, running, yelling, and carrying on, having a great time. On the boys' side of the room, I had seen that microphone hanging from the ceiling and wanted to talk and sing into it. I'd gotten a hold of it and could not let go. I was told that I looked like I was doing the Irish jig. My brother Bobby had grabbed a pair of his jeans and came charging at me and knocked me off the live wire. At first he scared me because of the way he was running at me, but then I was very glad because I was loose from all the funny feeling stuff. I was sitting on one of the beds and my whole body, especially my right leg, kept shaking really bad. My dad later said that he didn't come up sooner because he had thought we were just rough playing. They did not take me to the doctors. I remember crying a lot and then was outside sitting on a swing in the backyard holding my right wrist. My right thumb and part of that hand were burnt. Would you believe that one of the adults had gotten me under a bucket and put it next to my bed so that if I had to go potty I could use it? I had that bucket by the side of my bed so that if I had to go to the bathroom, I could go in it, which I guess on some nights I actually did use it. I did have some urine in it, and during the night my hand was hurting really bad. I had put my hand in the cold urine and made it feel much better. By the next morning, my hand had a big pus sac over my thumb, from the end of my fingernail to the end of my thumb by my wrist. They had to take me to the doctors this time because I was missing school, and they could not send me to school with my thumb in such a mess. I was in 3rd grade, and my teacher's name was Mrs. Carrington. She had red hair, and today I think she had then looked like Carol Burnett. I had gone to school with my thumb wrapped up in white gauze. At the end of the school year, she said that she had to keep me back in the same class next year. I remember begging her not to do that because my dad would be very angry at me. I promised her that I would do really well in the 4th grade if she would let me pass. She passed me, and I had a great 4th grade teacher. Her name was Mrs. Ratchford. I thought she was the most special, nicest, prettiest person in the whole world. Sometimes she would even take me home to her house for lunch. I had asked her to adopt me, but she had said that she couldn't. I did not get very angry with her because I knew that she was one of the smartest people I had known at the time, and she was nice to me. I did do quite well in her class. My dad would help us with our homework. One night I remember sitting on a stool next to the table. He was helping me with my math, and I hated math. Anyways, he had asked me a question. I had answered it wrong, and his left arm, hitting me in the face with his left hand, knocked me to the floor. I had a swollen lip and cheeks when we were finally done, which probably could have been an hour or more later. From that time on, I had studied and studied and studied. I must have done well in school because that was the only time I remember him helping me like that with my schoolwork. I loved reading the SRA books in the 4th grade that were available to me in school. The SRA books had come in several different colors. Today, I know these colors had meant different stages and levels of reading. There were no books that I can remember in my home, so those books were my adventure. I remember reading and reading and reading. I had finished those books and felt so good about myself that I had done a great job. I know that I had done a great job because Mrs. Ratchford had made such a big deal out of it, and it made me feel great about myself. Today, I give her most of the credit for me being able to read and comprehend what I am reading. I cannot actually find an appropriate word for how I feel about being able to read so well, and for also being able to comprehend. I love to read, and I have learned how to write different things in a coherent manner. We had floor metal heaters in the bathroom of the house on Sayre Street. I remember many times that Joe and myself had to kneel on the heater while the heat was on, and the metal had been very hot. We had to kneel on the heater for hours, and when they had let us off of them, I could barely walk. I wanted to cry, and when I did, my dad was not around, but when I had heard an adult came near us, I had hurried up and wiped my face. I used to have the wettest hands from all my tears that I wiped off so that no one could see I'd been crying. If we cried, we would have to either stay on the hot heaters longer, or the dad figure would whip our backsides.